if we just get stuck in just the do, and then we can start to forget about like nourishing ourselves, and we can start to become full, and we start to then overflow, and then we can fucking explode. What's up, legend? Clint X Morgan here, and welcome to another episode of the Rich Mystic Man podcast. And just wanted to say a big thank you to all my listeners. And if you are receiving value from the podcast, I'd love to hear about it. So jump on over to my Instagram at Clint X Morgan, or jumping on to the YouTube channel at Clint X Morgan. Leave a comment there on one of the episodes. And also too, you could jump on over to my website, www.clintxmorgan.org. And send me an email from that as well. Just love to hear your feedback, hear the value that you're getting, and also too, if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to speak into, then please do so as well. In today's episode, I am exploring the conversation around filling up your cup and nourishing ourselves. As a man, we can really get stuck in the grind and stuck in the day-to-day, and not really give ourselves permission to be nourished. And I'm not sure if nourished is it's a word that I've actually learned from my wife and her group of friends. I think it's more probably a woman's term, is like nourishing ourselves, but I've adopted it, and I think it's a really great terminology. And what I've discovered over the years is that the more I can actually nourish myself and fill up my cup, then when I am showing up as a entrepreneur, when I'm showing up as a father, when I'm showing up as a husband, when I'm showing up as a man, as a leader in the community, then I'm doing so from a more nourished and a more full space. So I want to talk into just some of the few things that I do on a weekly basis that I guess I'd say would keep me nourished. And before I get into that, and I want to talk about some of the, some of the red flags, some things that indicators that we're not nourished. And, I think as a man, then they definitely happen. And so for me, I can begin to get short. And what I mean by short is I start to get snappy. And, I start to take it out on my kids. I start to take it out on my wife. I start to get frustrated. I think frustration is a key indicator. I know for me, with my specific human design, if you ever checked out human design, it's a really powerful tool. And for me, key to know that I'm out of alignment is frustration. And so I'm starting to feel frustration, then something's out of alignment, and I need to, shift gears, or I need to, re-nourish. And so what can happen is we start to stack, energy starts stacking, because there's so much responsibility. There's so many, we're the provider, we're making money, we're, being a father, we are, being a husband, we're being a family member, we're helping out at the local sports club, where, there's so many different things that we need to do that are on our to-do list on a weekly basis. And if we just get stuck in just the do, and then we can start to forget about like nourishing ourselves, and we can start to become full, and we start to then overflow, and then we can fucking explode. And I've been there in a few really key points in my life, and it's not pretty for yourself, it's not pretty for those around you, and it can be avoided. And so I just want to speak to a few different key things that I do on a regular basis that, keeps me more nourished, more balanced, and, keeps me those, points of frustration and points of explosion just on the lower side of things, and they don't happen as frequently. And so one thing I do on a regular basis is I go see my chiro. He's a network chiropractic. And his name's Steve Katz. He lives on the Gold Coast. Shout out to Steve. He's a bloody legend. And, he's the best of the best at what he does. And so I make sure that I see him on a regular basis, because it keeps my body in check, because I can find that I have these innate, responses to certain stimuli that come into me through my environment that then see me like hunched over, or like I'm tucking my tail, or I'm bowing my head, or I'm not leading by my heart. And so by going to see Steve, he helps me through a bunch of different movements. He's not like your traditional chiropractic. There's not really spinal manipulation. It's more like allowing the energy and the muscles and the body, and guiding, being more of a guide to allow me to then come to a space of like spinal mobility, and having a highly functioning central nervous system as well. So that's one thing that I do on a regular basis. I also make sure that I exercise regularly, and this doesn't mean that I'm going to the gym 7 days a week, pumping iron. Sometimes it does mean like that. I'm in a phase of like really lifting and moving and things like that. But for me, like movement, it could be as simple as a walk, or doing some qigong in the morning just for like 5 or 10 minutes, just something to sort of keep the body moving. Or maybe it's some stretching. I also do martial arts. So I do a martial arts called Arakan. I do Arakan twice a week. I train with my trainer, and then sometimes I might go do some weekend stuff and things like that. I find martial arts is great because you're hitting shit. And so, I think we have a lot of frustration and anger. I also have a body opposition bag at home. So I beat up on him a lot as well, which also, gets out a lot of frustration and a lot of anger at times when that starts to build up. And so I also make sure that I get sleep, I get rest. And so I like to get up early. I like to get up about 4 a.m. I haven't the last sort of week or so because I've been in Bali, and then I went to New Zealand, and then I had the man flu. And so when I have the man flu, I'm just like, oh man, I just want to be in bed, get up at 4 a.m. when it's really cold. It's like, oh nah, no, I need some more rest, right? But I'm also not in the intense creative zone of, see what I mean, man flu, I'm not lying, of creating an album, right? I'm still working on that, but it's just taken a little bit of a priority shift at the moment because I have had the Bali thing, and then also had the man flu. So I was diagnosed. It definitely was man flu. So but I do get up early, and so if I then also stay up late, then I'm not getting enough sleep. So sleep is such an important factor to having a successful and thriving health, and detoxification of the body, allow your body to like repair, rejuvenate. Like so much happens when you sleep, but so many people aren't getting enough sleep. So I make sure that I get as much sleep as I can. It's hard with kids because you can go to bed early, but if those little guys, if they want to wake up in the middle of the night screaming, then you got to get up, you know what I mean? So, which was the case last night. And, I was up in the middle of the night, I was making a milk drink, and, I was like, Jesus, I just want to be sleeping, but, here I am. So, it's part of parenting. So, getting as much sleep as you can, right? But then also finding that balance of like, am I getting too much sleep? Do I really need this much sleep? Because there's also a time and a place for like getting up early and getting stuff done, and working on your craft, and spending time and energy in the stuff that you need to do to be successful. I also stay hydrated. I like to drink around about 4 liters of water per day. I drink Kangen water, which is the best water on the planet. And so I drink up to 4 liters. I wouldn't say 4 liters every day, but most days I'm up there in my water intake. And I definitely notice when I don't have as much water, I can sometimes get a little bit of a headache. I can feel a bit like hungry when I'm not hungry, and I can feel a little bit lethargic. And I'm like, oh, it's because I haven't had enough water today. So definitely making sure you're nourished and hydrated. So all these things are sort of listed are things you can just sort of like fit in during a week. They're just sort of things that just sort of keep things maintained, keep your energy balanced, keeps you healthy. Also nourishing, good high frequency food, organic foods. I really only eat organic foods 99% of the time. If I'm eating out or something like that, it's not an option, then it's not an option. Or sometimes I need something for a recipe and there's no organic, then sometimes I'll get conventional. But yeah, most of the times it's organic meats, it's organic produce, it's organic fruits. I really go out of my way to make sure that I do eat organic. And, I know sometimes budget makes it a little bit tougher to get organic because it is a little bit, does it cost a little bit more, but just make it happen. Is one way you can start to stretch financially is by going, all right, cool. I'm going to make a commitment that I'm going to eat organic, right? And making that commitment, and, life supports life. And so, if that's the case, then it's like, okay, cool. How can I supplement my income and make more income? And so I can, start to really afford to eat organic. And this is why, if you listen to my other episodes, I'm talking about how to create infinite amounts of money. Having a high ticket affiliate offer is one way to generate more flow, becoming good at selling and building a personal brand. And so, by doing these things and having a side hustle or something that can then supplement and bring in more income, then you have the sustenance to be able to eat organic and to go and do the martial arts and to go and see the chiropractor. And one thing my wife does on a regular basis, and I have friends that do this. For me, I don't really resonate with it too much, but going to like recovery centers, like spas, hot cold therapy, and things like that. I don't really resonate with the cold stuff myself. I find it drains my energy rather than gives me energy. And so I don't actually personally feel it's good, but my wife loves it. So it just depends on the person. I'd say it's like, sort of gauge it how it makes you feel. But these are sort of things that you can do on a regular basis that nourish your energy, gives you more energy. And then some things you can do on like a less frequency, is like go away for a weekend, take some time away, either with the family. I think that's definitely something as well. So you sort of, go on a bit of a holiday, or you might do a staycation, where you might just get a place in the place where you reside or close to where you reside, something like that. Or you could take the family on you could go camping, or you could go overseas, or you could go stay in a resort or something like that. That's, just sort of getting you away. It's sort of, it's getting you to do something. But then also too, sometimes holidays, say you go on camping or caravanning, it's like, man, that's hard work, so it's one of those things that it is also nourishing for the soul, because you're in nature, and, you're getting away, and you're doing something different, but it's also like, Jesus, man, like it's a lot of work. So, I guess choose your battles there as well. So going away with the family definitely helps. But I also find like some time in solitude by yourself is also really powerful. Or going away on a boys trip, finding some space to, get away and just spend some time doing something that's specific for you is really nourishing. And I think it's really essential as a man. And so both my wife and I, we have created and set this up for ourselves over the last few years. And just give each other space to be able to go away by ourselves, where you can sort of have a bit of time away from, having the children, and, being in a space where, maybe you do go away with a few friends for a weekend, or, you just go away by yourself for a little bit, and go and do something that's just specific that you want to do, where you don't have the children, you don't have the wife, you don't have, those sort of quote unquote responsibilities, and you can really fill up your cup. And so, how can you find the space and I guess express this? And you might be thinking it's like, oh, how am I going to like sell this to the wife, right? And the way that my wife and I have sold it to each other is that we both give it to each other, so I, give my wife the space to go away. Like she went to Dubai, for like 10 or 12 days or something like that. Actually it was 14 days. She told me it was 10, and then when she was away, she's like, oh, it's actually 14. Nah, she reckons she told me, but she didn't. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, I've got a few more days up my sleeve. So, I give her the space so she can go away, and we get some extra support with the kids and things like that when she's gone. Like her dad came down and helped out with the kids for a little bit. And sometimes Christy will go away and my mum will come and help, or my dad, or, we also get a little bit of extra hands from the nanny and things like that to support. But I give her the space to go away. And then she also gives me the space to go away, to have some more time in solitude, or time doing something that's for me. And the last time I did this was my birthday. And as I'm saying this, the last time I did this, my birthday is almost coming up to my birthday, so I'm definitely long overdue for one myself. And there might have been time in between. I think actually there was time when I went away with a couple of mates, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was a dream. Anyway, so it was coming up to my birthday, and oh, actually, no, there was a weekend that I went out to we got some land. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? So one time I went down to Melbourne and I recorded some music with Johnny. And then the next time it was actually after my brother had passed away, and I was just like, there was a lot, there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of sadness, a lot of grief. And I was really moving through a lot. And I was starting to get really, what mentioned earlier, I was getting really like snappy and short with the kids and getting really frustrated. And I was just moving through a lot. My capacity, I was just full, and I was so full with stuff that I just didn't have any space for anybody else. Right. And so my wife actually suggested to me, she goes, babe, why don't you just go out to the land? We've got a piece of land in the Byron hinterland. She goes, why don't you just go out there for like a couple of nights? And I said, oh yeah, you know what? That'd be actually great. So I just went out there and just chilled out there by myself in the caravan, just was with my own thoughts, was able to just cry and just be with my own emotions, and, go for walks on the creek, and, barefoot on the grass, and, being in nature, and, it was just able to like rejuvenate and refill my cup. So I think like having some time and space away, really pays dividends, because you come back like excuse me, you come back like a renewed man. You come back with a different, a different energy. You've sort of like refilled your cup. And then when your cup's full, you've got more energy to overflow to then, give to your family, and give to your children, and give to those around you. And just another powerful one you can do is like just spending time in nature, because I think like, one thing with all the tech stuff we have in our life these days, like we've got Wi-Fi and we've got LED lights, and we've got all these computers and phones and things that we're on constantly, all these devices, and they're frying our fucking brain. And so finding some time away from them is really powerful. So turning the Wi-Fi off at night, and spending some time barefoot on the grass, or going for a walk on the beach, or going into nature and just like touching a tree or hugging a tree, or just going for a barefoot walk up a creek, or going for a swim in the ocean, or going for a swim in the creek, or just spending some time outside in the sun, and being in nature. Something happens, like when you're around the birds and you're around the animals, and that sound of like the ocean, or that sound of like a flowing creek, or a river, or a waterfall, and just putting your bare feet on the land, on the earth, or just lying down and just sort of allowing the earth just to hold you. Like, this is really like nurturing, and this is really nourishing, and this is sort of like how we're meant to be, or how we're meant to live. If you think of how we lived even in Australia just a few hundred years ago, the indigenous is like, they didn't have all this tech shit. They lived off the fucking land. They lived like barefoot on the land, like, and they hunted, and they lived within nature, right? But now we're so far disconnected. There's people that literally never touch the earth. Think about that for a moment. They never touch the earth, right? Because they're walking around in their shoes, right? They're walking around in their shoes, which creates a barrier from the end of the earth. It's made of like rubber, the sole, which they're not really actually connected to the ground. They're not actually earthing, right? They might not never touch a tree or the ground, or they may not lie on the ground, and they walk to their car, they jump in their car, which is full of all like, all this electrical stuff and things like that, which, you have to do it. You have to go. I'm not saying don't go in your car, right? But it's like, go in your car, use your phone. Like I'm recording on my phone at the moment. I'm in a podcasting studio. So there's all this stuff. I've got this big bright light fucking showing down, but I also have blue blocker Tesla sunnies. I have these sunnies that, block out the blue light. So it's just giving a little bit of break on my eyes, right? And, this afternoon I'll make sure that I go and spend a little bit of time on the grass. I'll take my shoes off, make a little effort of it, go outside and stand on the ground, take the kids out. We can play on the grass a little bit. And so it's like, how can you escape the radiation? Like, your phone, don't have it next to your head, on all night. Like, if you have your phone there, turn it off, or put it in another room, turn the Wi-Fi off, like turn the lights off, like, close the blinds, turn the electronics off. Like, all that shit in your house is having an effect on your body. So it's like, you want to detox from that stuff. And like, that's why I love going out to my land, because there's no 5G towers out there. You can't even get 4G reception unless you have this booster going. So it's like there's no like fucking all that shit that you get when you're in the city, right? So it's like, how can you spend some time back in nature? How can you intentionally immerse yourself back in nature? And this really starts to shift the rhythms within your body. It shifts like your frequency. Think about when you're in nature and you just sort of feel this like feeling of relaxation and peace. So how can you intentionally put yourself into situations where you can connect back to nature and really connect back with your roots, put your bum on the earth, put your feet on the earth, put your hands on the earth, and just sit there and go, oh, fuck, this is beautiful. Fuck, it's beautiful. Feel like the sun on your face, the warmth, just hear the sound. I'm just imagining myself on my land near the creek, feel the flow of the beautiful running water, hear the sound of the birds chirping, the wind slowly like, blowing through the trees, and, the trees, whistling, and the sound of the leaves ruffling and all that sort of stuff. And, just thinking that, I was like, damn, that felt amazing. So how can we intentionally, reconnect with nature? These are all different ways you can nourish. So it's like, there's a time for action. There's a time for, being on. There's a time for like, getting super intentional and doing the thing and like showing up regardless. There's also a time for like recharging the batteries, because we're worn down. And it's like, you keep doing this shit over and over and over and over and over and over again without any break to the body. It starts to take its toll. It starts to really take its toll. Same thing with bad food. You keep feeding that shit in your body. You keep feeding yourself bad water. Sure, it won't affect you like in the short term, but yeah, done consistently over time, it starts to have a negative effect on the body. So how can we balance it out and bring some more equilibrium back to our way of being? And this will see you feeling more nourished. So when you are showing up, when you are on, you're on, when you're off, you're also off. So some cool things I wanted to share from my life. Oh, I feel so relaxed after that little, moment by the creek. Oh, I feel so chill now. Big love, guys. And if you got some value from this podcast, share it around with a loved one, share it around with someone that you feel needs to, go spend some time in nature. Someone that just needs to have a laugh. Someone needs to just be silly. Someone needs to take the pressure off. Someone that just needs to, not take life so seriously. And someone needs to take a chill pill and spend some time out with the trees, talking to nature. Then, share this episode with them, and look forward to connecting with you again next week. Big love. Sitting here watching the clock, I'm struggling, thinking of the bullshit that I've been juggling. Is there more to